The Institute of Fire Engineers was established by our 10 founding members back in 1918. 100 years later, we are a global professional body with over 10,000 members.
Because it started in the UK 100 years ago, and it was a group of chief fire officers who said, look, we've got to do something better because there were hundreds of people dying in public building fires. So they got together and realised that no matter what type of how good your response was, people were dying before the fire service arrived. So they realised we need to have a more systematic fire engineering approach, and we need to have better trained, qualified people.
IFE New Zealand was founded in 1924 to promote, encourage and improve the science and practice of fire extinction, fire prevention and fire engineering, and all related operations.
The Institution of Fire Engineers is a professional body put together by individuals who care about fire safety and fire prevention. They work in fire engineering, in fire services, fire equipment manufacturing, and on all related aspects, and public education, emergency response.
IFE New Zealand has 400 strong membership base. We had varied professions. A lot of our membership comes from Fire Emergency New Zealand.
Contrary to a lot of people's beliefs, it's not just a fire service organisation. It is an organisation for anybody and everybody that's got an interest in fire science and fire engineering.
Look, it's been a fundamental part of the development of the New Zealand Fire Service right back in the 1920s through every phase of our development. And if I can just speak from a personal point of view, it was an important part of my early years, sitting the IFE exams, getting involved in field days and seeing what a professional contribution they made to the fire industry. And I also liked the way it gave you international connections. You became part of an international network of fire professionals.
Institution of Fire Engineers has actually joined forces with Engineering Council of UK, so we now offer engineering technician qualifications through to chartered fire engineer status. So because of that, we now have chartered fire engineers within the Institution of Fire Engineers here within New Zealand. We have fire technicians, engineering technicians.
Recognition of 50 years of dedicated service to your brigade and community, and that's to the many brigades and communities that we've worked.
And while there are other bodies, SFPE and a few others, FPA, that do deal in fire engineering, they don't have the same spread or breadth that the institution has. So I see the institution growing its knowledge. We've got space engineers, we've got railway engineers, we've got aircraft engineers that are all part of the institution, and their role has been dealing with fire in all those different environments.
As IFE New Zealand, what do we need?
We really need youth to come through, and we need to make the channels easier for them to come through and for them to know that these industries are here and we need people now.
What we're really missing is a pathway and the qualifications available at the lower levels, and a pathway that means that someone from a school level can be tempted into the fire industry, and that we can capture good people when they're young to get them into the industry now, so that we can have them develop into a lifelong career in fire engineering.
A lot of people actually don't know what the fire industry is, but if you're in a building, you have a look around a building, you have a look at how many different fire safety features you have within that building. You have that fire exit signs, you may have a fire alarm, you may have a fire sprinkler. You've had an evacuation consultant who's done the evacuation for the building and trained the people within that building to get out safely. You have a variety of people that come along and touch that building that are within the fire industry, and unfortunately it is an unknown industry. What we are trying to do with the IFE is to promote the fire industry as a viable career.
So how does one become a fire engineer?
At the moment, there is no courses apart from if you're going to do a apprenticeship program through a sprinkler or alarm technician company. They have competence, which is the level 2 to 4 courses. Apart from that, it's the big jump up to the master's program. Those are the only courses we have in fire at the moment.
This has also been a very important program from the point of view of industry collaborating with government and industry collaborating with their own institutions. And so this large gap has been identified and is being addressed, and that leads on to higher qualifications as well. And for example, the very important component, which is the New Zealand Diploma in Fire Engineering.
MIT has been working with the IFE, the Institute of Fire Engineers, to develop a new New Zealand Diploma in Engineering in Fire Engineering. It's a course which is needed in the industry right now. It will also give industry an opportunity to take the ownership of the qualification and work with the providers to decide on the topics covered and the content of the program, which should meet their needs, and so that the graduates coming out from MIT is work ready.
The diploma in fire engineering by the Institute of Fire Engineers is just a wonderful move forward, because education is key. That's why we partnered with the Institute of Fire Engineers, and we really feel it will give the fire technicians an opportunity to further develop and add value to this very important industry.
The other way of doing it is you can do the examinations based through the IFE. You've either got to be working within the fire industry itself, or you have to be working for the fire alarm industry, such as volunteer firefighter, paid career firefighter, something along those lines, where you're going to get access to design problems, you're going to get access to buildings.
We run a master's course for, I guess, the top-end fire engineers for New Zealand. The students who come in are a bachelor's degree in civil, mechanical, electrical, or chemical engineering. And they come in and do our course, which takes anywhere from 1 to 2 years to do as a master's, or about 3 to 4 as a PhD student. We end up exporting about half our graduates. Many go over to Australia, but it's a very transportable degree. We get a number of students who go over for their 4 or 5 years, and then they get experience over there, and then they bring that experience back here.
We've developed a certificate of achievement in fire technology that we'll be implementing into schools through the Gateway Pathway cadet programs that they run in schools at the moment. So in your last year or second to last year of school, you do some work experience. One of the things you'll be doing is doing some foundation knowledge, and then we'll put you in work experience in different fire companies.
So Morahu joined us in our Christchurch office quite a few years ago now. Came to us from a very small consultancy firm into to us, which is a larger multidiscipline firm. So it was a pretty big move for him to come across from Christchurch, and we actually identified him through a peer review process. So he was peer reviewing one of our projects for us, and so we identified him as a pretty good operator, and then so it was sort of a shoulder tap process, and how about coming across to Becca, which he was quite happy to do. And so more recently he's come to our Auckland office, and he's been given opportunities to work on some fantastic projects.
I guess first of all you have to have a passion for engineering. So to start off, my undergrad was actually structural civil background, and because of that background I got into buildings, and then one of the components of buildings was fire. So I found that kind of interesting and amusing at the same time, being a student. Not sure I should say it, but we like to burn stuff, so considering fires seemed like an appropriate goal to go through. Because of that, I got interested in the course. We did burn stuff at the course, but it was in a controlled environment. And it was very interesting just to see the dynamics, how fire spread, how it moved and how it behaved. And because of that, you just develop a feeling and a passion for what you want to do.
Where is IFE New Zealand heading in the next 100 years?
I actually see IFE as being the main teaching body for getting people into the fire alarm industry or into a fire career. I actually see the IFE becoming a requirement for IQP in the future, because it is an international recognised qualification. And it's very, very hard to argue when people are talking from a knowledge base as large as that.
We also want to be able to have our peers in the fire industry come with us, join us, and actually share our knowledge. So it's not holding all the knowledge within it, it's getting people that are our members to actually go out and share their knowledge to the wider community.
It's one of the things that I probably feel uncomfortable about is that, you know, when I look around at my colleagues, you know, there's so many of us that are old white guys with, you know, with grey hair, and it's, you know, our societies and our laws have sort of been built on that, but there's a lot of movement to try and change it, and I'm really conscious of it. So, you know, it shouldn't be guys like me standing here. So, you know, but I look, you know, that's, the awareness is there and the commitment is there, but the results aren't.
And that being said, to have people of different cultures, male, female, within the industry, I see that as a huge positive, and that's the way we would like to go, and that's what we're trying to promote at the moment.
I've just found out that on the International General Assembly that there's only 5% of the position holders are female. I know in New Zealand that there's a very small number on the committee, so we really want to increase that number of women. Like I said, that we need to challenge the norms. We need the diversity of thought, and we can't expect people to make decisions for us when they don't know anything about us.
The IFE continue to blaze a trail in New Zealand, and thanks to Maui, fire continues to be our taonga, or treasure, for us to respect and to keep under control so we can keep our families of tomorrow safe. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora te! Kia ora te! Kia mau! Io e! Ko te ui patua i agaruru nei! Io! Oh! Oe ha! Ko te ui rawara agaruru nei! Io! Oh! Oe ha! Tia! Ha ha! O katu te i katu te wana wana! I runga I te rangi e tui hau nei! Tui hau nei! Hea hara te mahi nei! Mahi awhina! Mahi o ora!